So you want to go to Antarctica. Got my little penguin here and one of my postcards here. This is Cooperville Island. I have been there. I've landed there. It was a lot more white than in this picture. This was later in the season, I'm assuming, when it was taken. That being said, you want to go to Antarctica. 100% you should go. I will never tell anybody not to go. I'm going to walk you through where you should start on your planning and just give you some pointers to get that ball rolling because it really is the trip of a lifetime, and hopefully not once in a lifetime if you're lucky. I really, it's just an amazing place. So I will get to the point. The first thing you should do is look into expedition companies. And I say expedition companies, not cruise lines. There is a very big difference. So, what most people don't know about Antarctica is all these tour operators, they voluntarily operate under IATA rules. Do not ask me off the top of my head what it stands for. It's international something, something, something. Basically, it's a bunch of rules that people volunteer to follow while they bring tourists to Antarctica. It's a really incredible thing. It's something that you should look up. It's IATO. It's IAATO, I believe. Should have had that prep for what it stands for, but alas, I am unprepared. All that to be said, IATO has set rules in Antarctica for the number of people that you can have on land off a ship at one time. When I was there, most recently, February of 2025, you can have 100 people on land at a time, and which means you need to be on a ship that has 200 passengers or less. That's where the expedition company comes in. These big cruise operators, they will take people to Antarctica, but you will never ever leave the ship. You can sit there on your balcony sipping hot chocolate wrapped in a blanket, waving at the icebergs and the penguins and land as you go by. I promise you that is not the experience you want of Antarctica. You want to be on an expedition ship with 200 passengers or less. And that allows you the opportunity to leave the ship, get on a Zodiac, and go to land or do Zodiac cruises. Generally, you have half the passengers are doing Zodiac cruises while the other half are on land. And I promise you that is the experience you want. So the number one thing you need to do when you start thinking about booking this trip to Antarctica is you need to look for expedition companies. There's quite a few. I have gone with Intrepid Travel twice. There's also Polar Latitudes, Quark Expeditions, National Geographic. There are plenty. I'm not recommending one over the other. You need to research them and decide which one is the best fit for you. And that can segue into the next thing. Whereas always with travel, decide what it is that you're looking for in your expedition company. There's all different types of experiences. Some are much more luxurious than others. And part of that is going to be your price point. There are sales all the time. And sometimes you just get really lucky. If you want to gamble, you can go down to Ushuaia and see if you can't get a discounted last minute cabin on a ship. That requires a little bit more research because you need to know when ships are and are not departing. Have to have travel insurance and a bunch of other things that these operators require. But all that to be said, decide the experience you want and find the expedition company that fits what you're looking for. And that can be a bunch of different things. Some of them operate older ships, some have newer ships, some have larger ships, some have smaller ships, 200 passengers still. You can find all this information online. You can see beautiful pictures of their ship. Their marketing is usually very good for these expedition companies. So you got to decide what you want as your experience. And of course, part of that is also going to be part of that decision is going to be made based on your budget as well. People have thrown out some wild numbers to me for how much they either spent or they anticipated spending on their expedition. I either got very, very lucky or I just know how to find deals. I don't really know. I I did not spend anywhere near the numbers that people have thrown at me to go on either of my expeditions to Antarctica. The first was just a 10-day peninsula. The second one was 2 weeks below the Antarctic's total going below the Antarctic Circle during that time. So decide your budget. Um, I can't help you with that. I'm sorry. It's going to look different for everybody. But I can tell you that there are different ways that you can make it work with your budget. There's different types of cabins. There's your interior triples and quads, and then there's rooms with portholes and windows, and then you get into suites and all that fun stuff. I think I've talked about in another video about how I would select that cabin type. I won't get into it here because we're talking about budget and I don't want to sway you one way or another to break the bank. Also, I'm not a financial advisor, so talk to your financial advisor before you book this trip because it is most likely one of the most expensive trips you will ever book in total. I can only ever speak about what worked for me. And again, financial advisor always. So that'll be the next thing that you really should look into is your budget and what fits that. And I promise you there's something for everyone. And one of the ways that is very helpful and something that I will tell you once you've decided on all these things, your tour operator, your budget, the level of luxury you want for your expedition, book in advance. Cannot say that enough. Book in advance. And I don't mean advance of like a couple months before. I mean advance like a year out. The 2 times I have been to Antarctica, I booked over a year out. Maybe that's why I got a good deal in a cabin. I don't know. All that to be said, they do sell out. Prices do go up. There are last minute deals. I wouldn't risk it personally. I would want to make sure that I got the experience I want locked in and well in advance. So book at least a year out. I know that's crazy. Like right now would either be the time to book or in my opinion, you're a little bit late. The season has just ended. I promise you they've already got bookings and everything sorted for the first ships that are going to leave in November. Book in advance. It will save you every single time for going to Antarctica. So once you've got all that done and sorted and you've booked, I mean, you're kind of on your own. You've done everything you need, and yay, it's amazing. But I'll give you just a little rundown of what really to expect next. Once you've selected your expedition and you got it, your dates, everything's booked, make sure you read through all the fine print and you send them all the documentation they need. Includes your travel insurance that is required, and in my experience, I think it was $250,000 for evac and medical and all that stuff as a minimum. There's a bunch of different ways you can meet that requirement when you shop for different travel insurances, and that could be a whole other video in itself. So make sure you read the fine print. That's where I'm going with that. Make sure you have all the expedition clothes and things you need. Generally speaking, they will provide you with a packing list of suggestions. I will tell you right now, you should always bring wool, and you can do it all in a carry-on. I've done that twice. I digress. I'm a little bit proud of that, but definitely bring wool. Definitely respect the packing list that they give you. It's very, very important. Antarctica is not as cold as people like to think it is. However, you cannot just go to your outdoor store if you forgot something when you get to Antarctica. They do have things on the ship. There's a shop. It's very expensive in my experience. Point being, you need to be prepared. You are out in the wilderness. You are where people do not belong and should not be. And you need to be prepared. So make sure you bring everything that they suggest on that packing list. And the next things I would definitely book are flights. Flights can be a pain in the backside, in my experience. You will fly through Buenos Aires, Argentina. Be aware there's 2 airports. You may have to change airports. There's really one airline that flies to Ushuaia. They're not my favorite airline. I have very few nice things to say about them, so I will not name names. But that being said, they're notorious for changing flight times and airports and aircraft type, and you getting back to Ushuaia from being in Antarctica and surprise, your flight has changed. It's a little less of a problem now that there's this thing called Starlink and the ships really are still connected to the world down there in the Antarctic. Whereas when I first went, that was not a thing unless you spent a lot of money. So book your flights, book accommodation if you choose to arrive early or stay late. You should have accommodation at least before your trip included with your expedition company. They can also arrange additional accommodation for days that you may choose to stay outside of the expedition as well, or at least they should have that capability. If they don't, I would be surprised. And after that, enjoy your trip. Those are the big logistics. Everything else you should have taken care of by your expedition company, your expedition team, both their ground staff and the ship on the crew. The ship on the crew. Goodness, I need to I need to probably go to bed. I'm recording this late. I shouldn't. The expeditions. Rewind. Ignore that. By the way, I don't edit these. I just start talking about it, so you get the real me. You should be taken care of by your ground crew in Ushuaia, and then you will be taken care of by the expedition team and the ship's crew while you are on board the vessel. There we go. I got there. Yeah. So just sit back, enjoy it. I 100% would recommend spending additional time in Ushuaia. It is an absolutely magical place that most people don't ever get to see. And then, of course, there's Antarctica, which most people never get to see. I could talk about Antarctica all day, and I will stop. That is the really quick summary of, okay, you want to book a trip? Here's where to start. Here's what to expect. And hopefully, you get to go down and see it, send a postcard, and get your little souvenir penguin and bring back a ton of memories and spread the word about Antarctica and how beautiful it is and what goes on down there. So I will stop jabbing at you and catch you on the next one. Bye.